The sun, a malevolent orange disk, bled across the blocky horizon, casting long, distorted shadows over the blasted landscape. My Geiger counter, a recent addition to my inventory thanks to the nuclear fallout mod, clicked with alarming frequency. Each click was a tiny hammer blow against my sanity, a constant reminder of the world that was, and the toxic wasteland it had become. Minecraft had always been my escape. A world of infinite possibilities, of creation and exploration. Now, it was a fight for survival, a grim testament to human folly, even simulated human folly. This mod had changed everything. The familiar green hills were now craters, choked with ash and littered with the skeletal remains of trees. Rivers, once teeming with fish, were stagnant pools of irradiated sludge. My first priority was shelter. Not just any shelter, but a refuge against the invisible killer that permeated the air. I spent the first few days scavenging, a desperate rat picking through the ruins of the old world for anything that could help. I found a partially destroyed village, its cobblestone houses crumbling like ancient ruins. Looting what I could, I prioritized the essentials, iron ore, coal, and thankfully, several chests filled with pre-apocalypse food. Canned beans, dried fruit, and even a few precious loaves of bread. Enough to stave off starvation for a while. The Geiger counter remained my constant companion, its ticking guiding me away from the worst radiation hotspots. I scavenged enough iron to craft a basic radiation suit. It was bulky and cumbersome, but offered a sliver of protection against the pervasive radiation. My base needed to be more than just a house. It needed to be a fortress, a self-sustaining ecosystem in this wasteland. I chose a location carefully, a small plateau overlooking a valley, offering a good vantage point, and some natural protection. The first layer of defense was the earth itself. I dug deep into the plateau, carving out a large chamber. Then, I began the arduous task of reinforcing it. Mined stone reinforced with radiation-resistant paint. It was time-consuming, requiring me to venture out into the poisoned world for days at a time, risking exposure. But the thought of a safe haven spurred me on. The mod had added radiation-blocking windows, thick panes that filtered out the harmful rays. They were expensive to craft, requiring rare resources scattered across the map, but worth every ingot. I installed them strategically, allowing sunlight to filter into the base while keeping the invisible enemy at bay. Airtight doors, essential for maintaining a clean atmosphere inside, formed the final barrier against the outside world. Inside the base, I focused on the essentials, water and food. Nuclear fallout had contaminated all surface water. My survival depended on finding a clean source. I remembered reading about underground aquifers in old books. Following this memory, I dug a deep well, praying I would find something. A tense silence filled the void until the echoing splash of water reached my ears. It was murky, but not irradiated. I immediately set about building a filtration system, layers of gravel, sand, and charcoal, all painstakingly gathered from the blighted landscape. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough to render the water drinkable. Food was a trickier problem. The soil was poisoned, rendering traditional farming impossible. I needed a controlled environment, a place where I could nurture life amidst the death. I designated a section of my base as a greenhouse, lining the walls with radiation-resistant windows to provide sunlight. Inside, I created raised beds filled with the cleanest soil I could find, carefully amending it with compost and bone meal. The seeds were my most precious resource. I had found a small supply in a pre-apocalypse bunker, carefully labeled and stored. Wheat, potatoes, carrots, and even a few precious tomato seeds. I planted them with trembling hands, whispering silent prayers for their survival. Days turned into weeks, punctuated by the relentless ticking of the Geiger counter and the soft drip of water from my filtration system. I ventured out regularly, scavenging for resources and expanding my base. I found a ruined laboratory and salvaged a few vital pieces of technology, a solar panel for generating electricity, and hydroponics which allowed me to dramatically increase my food output. The greenhouse flourished. The vibrant green of the plants stood in stark contrast to the gray desolation outside, a symbol of hope in the face of despair. I harvested my first crops, savoring the taste of fresh vegetables, a taste I had almost forgotten. Loneliness began to gnaw at me. The only sounds were the hum of the solar panel, the ticking of the Geiger counter, and my own breathing. I started talking to the plants, telling them stories about the world before the bombs fell, about the beauty that had been lost. One day, while venturing out on a scavenging run, I saw something that made my heart leap. A distant flicker of light, a sign of life. I approached cautiously, my hand on my weapon. I found a small settlement, built into the side of a cliff. A few survivors, huddled together, trying to eke out an existence in this ruined world. They were wary at first, but my offer of food and water broke the ice. We shared stories, comparing notes on survival. They taught me new techniques for purifying water and finding food. I shared my knowledge of radiation shielding and hydroponics. We began to trade, forming a fragile alliance in the face of a common enemy, the wasteland itself. The settlement grew, attracting other survivors. Slowly, painstakingly, we began to rebuild. The Geiger counter still ticked, a constant reminder of the past. But now, it was also a reminder of the future, a future where humanity might yet rise from the ashes, a future where the world might once again be green. I built a small school in the settlement, teaching the children about the old world and, more importantly, about the mistakes that led to its destruction. My Minecraft world, once a solitary struggle for survival, had become a shared endeavor, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The apocalypse had changed everything, but it had also revealed something profound, that even in the darkest of times, hope can still bloom, like a fragile flower pushing through the radioactive soil. And so I lived, not just surviving, but building, teaching, and hoping, one block at a time. The sun was rising, and there was more work to be done.